I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. Don't never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this. Freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus. Living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness?
Awesome power of nature, hot excitement of freedom goes after you get struck by lightning. There's thunder.
What is up, you guys, to another episode of the Pigskin Recap with your boy Tyler. Like the new setup, got a new setup going.
Yes, sir.
Better quality, better screen time, better everything, man. But my guest this week will be my buddy Robert. How you doing, brother?
I'm great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Nice to hear that. Love hearing that my fellow colleagues and my best friends doing very, very good. Love to hear it.
It's just crazy just how quickly the NFL season has kind of, let's be real quick.
We're going after the divisional round. We got 2 episodes of this left.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. Like I remember, I know I only did this for like half the season this year because, you know, the whole thing with the show being created, I think by like week 8, I think it was created.
Yeah.
But we were in talks with it for about like a week or so when we first did this, and I had fun this year with doing this show.
Absolutely.
So big ups to Mitch Kofsky for making this show a possibility.
Not just Mitch, Earl too.
Earl with the name because I had the most blandest name for this show. It was just going to be called the NFL Recap. That was so bland. He goes, "Why don't you call that the Pigskin Recap?" I go,
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes more sense.
It makes more sense, and it has a lot of flair to it. It has a lot of excitement to the name.
But shit.
A lot of creativity to the name. Instead of just calling it the NFL Recap Show with me.
Shit.
You just call it the Pigskin Recap. But
Facts.
Let's get right into it. With the divisional round edition of the Pigskin Recap. First game that happened on a Saturday. This is the Saturday lineups, and that was the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. With the Chiefs winning this one 27-20. Trevor Lawrence, 24 for 39, 217 yards, 1 touchdown and a pick. Travis Etienne, the running back, 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes. Mind you, this is the Patrick Mahomes with one leg because he had injured that leg right before, I think it was right before halftime. Yeah, this was like right before halftime. He went 22 for 30 amazingly with one leg, 195 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is how great. And I'm gonna all right, but I'm gonna get to the running back stats because Pacheco had another good game. 12 carries, 95 yards. But let me tell you how great Patrick Mahomes is. If that game didn't tell you is not an indicator, then I don't know what to tell you.
It really doesn't. I mean,
because this man balled out with one leg. Yeah,
I agree. And I said this plenty of times too. I think a lot of NFL fans, because I think with Patrick Mahomes, still in the prime of his career. I mean, right now, and shout out to Randy for this, because right now he's had so far in his career since being in the NFL over 24,000 passing yards, almost 200 touchdowns to almost 50 picks. So you can't tell me that dude's not superhuman when you put this man on the field. It's like people have to understand. Now, granted, yes, they are some. How do I say this? Like meat riders, basically. People that want to jump on that bandwagon, but we know greatness when we see it. Now, granted, it did take. It's probably did take that much, not even about a year to see how great Patrick Mahomes truly is. Without, probably the best coach that he's ever had in Andy Reid and also Alex Smith. A lot of people never give Alex Smith a lot of love for to help developing into Patrick Mahomes what he is now. But overall, though, I mean, I got to give the Jacksonville Jaguars credit. The fact that they try to fight back and beat the Kansas City Chiefs, that should really tell you a lot. I mean, yes, granted, we knew that the Chiefs were going to win, but it looked like it was not going to be easy for the Jacksonville or for the Chiefs.
It wasn't going to be easy for either team because both teams, they played very, very well in this game. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence had that one mistake, that one pick. But other than that, he was balling out the entire game. It was close the entire way too. They had a chance to win it, but one mistake they cost them, and that was that pick. Mm-hmm. But other than that, if he didn't cause that pick, if he didn't throw that bad ball, they probably would have tied the game up and possibly won it and upset the Chiefs. That's how good this game was, and that's how good both teams were in this game. But the next game wasn't exactly close.
Yeah, this is more one-sided.
And this is where we are happy as hell, and we are laughing. It's Eagles versus Giants. The Eagles kick the living hell out of the Giants, 38-7.
Oh,
Jalen Hurts, 16 for 24. 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell, 12 carries, 112 yards and a touchdown. Miles Sanders, 17 carries, 90 yards. Daniel Jones, 15 for 27, 135 yards and an interception. Saquon Barkley, 9 carries, 61 yards. Matt Breida, 4 carries, 23 yards, and that, trick play that scored to make it, I think it was 28-7 at that time.
Yeah.
But dude, these analysts, I'm going to rant.
Hey,
I'm going to rant right now. These analysts and these so-called fan bases,
and might I add,
out here saying, oh, you guys won't win 3 times against a division rival. You won't. You barely won the game against backups.
First of all, that game didn't really meet. I'm going to
get to that. First off, the playbook was not fully open. Was not even fully open. We weren't even trying because we were playing backups. If we played the starters, we would have kicked the living.
We would just blow them out again.
We would have done it 3 times if we had our way. But the thing is, we were playing their backups, and we were just like, we weren't even trying.
We were resting most of our key starters at that point.
We weren't resting our starters.
I'm talking about the Giants.
Oh, they were resting. Yeah, they were resting all their key starters. Daniel Jones wasn't playing. Your defense wasn't playing. Your receivers definitely weren't playing.
Yeah.
And we still beat them. But we weren't even trying in that game.
Oh yeah.
The game that really was like the real key to this game that you blindly did not look at was that first matchup that we played the Giants.
Oh, week 14.
We put up 48 to their 22.
Oh boy.
We put up 48 points to their 22. We blew them out. But that 22 points.
It was in garbage time.
It was pity. It was, we feel bad because we blew you out. We're going to let you score one more time. It was pity. And I laughed that score off. I'm like, they just gave him a pity touchdown. Because we were blowing him out at that point. This game, we didn't give him any pity. We gave him what? A trick play because we got fooled one time. Other than that, we gave them nothing. We gave them nothing. And you're telling me we had the fattest chance to win this game. We had no chance to win. None.
But I will say this too, is like the fact that we're pretty much the bane of the New York Giants' existence. Not just for this year, but look at the years past. We've always owned the New York Giants, no matter which.
Put it this way. In the last 10 meetings, we are 10-0 against the Giants. 10-0. That even counts the seasons that we were not even good.
Yeah.
We owned them. We owned them with bad teams.
Yeah. And it's like, and the fact that people say, especially the fact that, might I add, this was a fully healthy Giants team going into this divisional round. And honestly, I'm shocked by the blowout because their starters on defense aren't that bad in hindsight. It looked like they actually kind of I think after we scored, I think the second touchdown, I think it looked like they kind of gave up at that point. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, because their linebackers are okay because they did a few times beat the running back to the line of scrimmage on a few occasions. Yeah. So they were able to stop the run on some occasions. And they also were clamping us up. That one A.J. Brown bomb, that was clamped up.
Oh, yeah.
He luckily caught that because the defender just mistimed where the ball was going to be.
Yeah.
He could have easily picked it off if he played that better. Easily.
And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, like, you're in the playoffs and you decide to first of all, that's a very bad look. And granted, people are going to say, yeah, the Giants. Well, first of all, you got to think of how long the Giants have not won a playoff game in. If you go, because right now,
before going into last week, they had not won the playoff game since 2011.
Yeah, and the last time they ever did that, 2011 is the only time they ever won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was the last time they won the Super Bowl. That was the last time they won a playoff game prior to last week. And last week that was a gimme game.
And the fact that Giant, and look, I mean, some Giants fans, people say, yes, part of the Giants fan base is obnoxious, and it's ironic because we have a couple.
And I'm going to tell you this, and let me lead into that, right? And I'm talking to Jeffy T85, talking to the Giants fan base that we talk to here. Y'all gave us a chance with what you say. You said, listen, we can't give this team a chance because this team is dangerous. You told us in your takes that we are dangerous. A lot of these analysts are saying we're chumps. You guys, Jeff 85, Miz, all you guys, were saying that we are dangerous and they could not let us up.
And it's like,
you gave us a chance, so we thank you. You were one of the good ones.
But I will say too, I will get the Giants the flowers though for a team that, let's be real, had its very bad moments over the years. The fact they went 9-6-1, they're set up for a bright future. I will give the Giants a lot of credit for it.
And I'm going to say this: Daniel Jones is in fact a dog.
I mean, look at the career. He's set up career. The fact that he's the leading rusher in franchise history. He set career highs in yards, less turnover prone, which is a huge improvement in the 4 years he's been
he
in the
league. Like 16 interceptions in like the first 3 years of his career. This year he had 8. That's a huge improvement.
So he had more touchdowns than he did picks. And that also tends to Brian Daboll.
And Brian Daboll fixed him. Brian Daboll fixed the offense. Brian Daboll fixed the defense somewhat.
In some way, especially what he had to work with.
Yeah, but yeah, Brian Daboll set up a winning culture in that organization. Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. He is what a true sleeper pick is. That's a sleeper pick gone right.
Oh, absolutely.
So I will give you that. Daniel Jones is not a bum. He is a good quarterback. He'll be
There
a
are just
good
some things
quarterback.
that entire you gotta have to revamp that, and revamp part of that O line, because that let's be real, that O
Yeah,
line
the
just
O
kind of
line, the O line last week was pretty much a revolving. Yeah, the O line on Saturday was pretty much a revolving door. You're gonna need to bolster that up if you want to have a chance to beat
I
teams
mean,
like us
absolutely, but
and or the who else the Niners. Like you're gonna have to bolster up that line of scrimmage.
because I mean, as Coach
And
Ed,
I'm
and
talking, and I'm
another
talking
guy,
from an unbiased
another good
standpoint.
Giants concert career that you forget to mention was Coach Ed
Coach
Gladney,
Ed's a great dude. I don't know why I forgot to even mention him. He's
and
a
he has
great dude.
said if he
Very insightful.
when games are won, where do they usually win? In the
Trenches.
trenches,
Trenches.
100% of the time.
And trench warfare, we won that mightily. And the thing is, you got to start in the trenches. The
Mhm.
offensive line was a revolving door for the Giants. That's why they lost big. And Daniel Jones wasn't able to get a throw off. What's up, further?
What's good, my
How you
guy?
doing, buddy? But yeah, it's like he wasn't able to like time his throws right because of all that pressure. And that's the reason why, you know, you need to bolster up that line of scrimmage,
And
Giants.
not just the O line. I mean, their secondary could use some little bit of work, and it's ironic too. For those who have not seen my short on it, James Bradbury. Does anyone remember? Giants
Dude,
fans, are you still mad that you cut his
first
ass?
drive, dude. This is bliss. This was absolute
Ignorance
bliss.
is bliss, most
First,
of it.
dude, first drive. First damn drive for the Giants. He literally bolted to
But
the open guy and literally picked it off. Bolted.
I'm thinking to myself, like, why the hell did the Giants even cut him? Like, he was still a solid cornerback for them.
I don't know.
would never get it. And if it's for just financial reasons, that I can understand. But the dude's got so much more talent left in the tank, for crying out loud. But that's here nor there. But like I said, we give Giants the flowers, but you can see there's some flaws in this Giants team, because I do think they are going to be a potential threat in the NFC East. I think, but we'll leave it at that.
Next up, we have the Bengals and the Bills.
Oh, good Lord.
Pulling off what is an upset, but people aren't even shocked.
I'm not, but Bills,
Nobody
what
is.
the hell? I will say this with the Bills. What I feel like one of the reasons why they didn't play like what we expect them to, when Von Miller tore his ACL, I think other week 15 or week 16, that pretty much changed the entire defense in itself. And I also said this too, when Brian Daboll left Buffalo to go to the Giants, you could see a regression in Josh Allen. You could definitely see some regression in some areas.
Yeah. And in this game, he massively regressed in this game. Like I've seen it. And yes, albeit they played in the snow. So the football is a bit saturated, a bit wet. So it's harder to throw in wet conditions like that.
Especially in the Bills had played pretty games in the snow and that terror on their own home turf.
Yeah. So then again, it shouldn't be an excuse. It should not be an excuse at all for this team to play as bad as they did.
And the fact that you had Stephon Diggs, who bolted out, grabbed his stuff out of the locker room and bolted as quick as he did. And I'm thinking and the fact he kind of yelled at Josh Allen. First of all, Josh Allen can do so much. I mean, first of all, I think it's just mostly on coaching and execution.
Dude wasn't even getting open. You're not getting any separation. How do you expect to even get the ball if you're not getting separation?
And the fact, if I'm not mistaken, too, he got locked up. Oh, the fact
he got locked down all game. Got locked down all game
by Eli freaking Apple. Out of all quarterbacks, you get locked up by Eli goddamn Apple.
I mean, Eli Apple's not that bad.
I would say he's a below average, but he's just
not that bad. He's not that bad.
Inconsistent.
He was one of the bright spots last year. He was one of the bright spots.
That is true.
He's not that bad.
But I will say, I mean, I'll say this: if Von Miller didn't get hurt, I think this game would have been a lot closer than it should have been. I will say that, because Matt Milano, I think, is still a really good linebacker. I think that dude is just disgusting in that part of that front seven. You know,
But I mean, but wouldn't it probably wouldn't even been that close because you still had Josh Allen who was dog
yeah.
crap.
First of all, if you looked at the last before going into this game, look at the last 4 to 5 weeks. Look at the wild card game. First of all, your defense let up 31 goddamn points by the Miami Dolphins, who where the credit's due for being as scrappy as they were. But the fact that you still scraped by a tough Miami Dolphins team with a backed up quarterback from Kansas State, like how embarrassing do you have to? That's for me. That's embarrassing for a team that you had be the heavy favorites to win the Super Bowl, like. And for me, I had Josh Allen, and I actually said this on record multiple times. I had Josh Allen as my front runner for MVP. And I'm really biting the bullet on this one.
Yeah, Josh Allen. Yeah, Josh Allen does not deserve MVP. I think it'll be Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes.
It's going to come down
to Jalen Hurts.
Because I mean, like, what the hell? If you looked at the early part of the season, but ugh.
No. They were not biased at all.
Because
Giants lost handily. Okay.
But I will say even though we did get out penalized 5-1 to the Giants. But then again, usually, and I will say, you know,
they weren't biased calls though. I don't know what this rhetoric is.
I think the only rhetoric is because whenever Cleve Blakeman does, the only narrative that surrounds the Eagles in the officiating crew is whenever Cleve Blakeman officiates Eagles games, like they will say they're like the 13-1 every time when he gets assigned to the Philadelphia Eagles, which is kind of, you know, it's just like
I will say it's a bit suspect. I'll get that, but this game was actually cleanly called in a sense.
Yeah.
But.
Oh, and another thing too, I forgot to mention too. I think I forgot to mention this too. I think if Josh Allen did sprain his UCL, things would have been a lot.
No, yeah, things would have been a lot different if he didn't sprain his UCL. Like, yeah, but last game,
honestly, I had my expectations.
Dallas versus San Fran. The 49ers win by a score of 19-12.
And I'll be honest, I was one of
Hold on. Dak Prescott, 22 for 37, 206 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. Zeke was held to 26 yards. Pollard held to 22 yards. Purdy, 19 for 29, 214 yards. Christian McCaffrey, 10 carries, 35 yards, touchdown. Mitchell, 14 carries, 51 yards. But I want to talk. Let me just fast forward through the game. All right, sure. There was a lot of, you know.
It's just all defense at that.
Dude, are you even an Eagles fan? I don't even think you're an Eagles fan. But here's the thing. There was no clear penalties. I watched that game.
Because I mean, look, we had penalties go against us. If you really think about it, we had
a lot more penalties go against us than they did going against them. But I'm gonna fast forward through this game here. Yes, they got down. The defense did not play well for Dallas. But let's go to that last play.
Like
very questionable call there.
Oh, like
me and I'm laying in my bed watching it. My dad eavesdrops. He comes in and he's watching the play. Me and him are baffled. Me and him are confused because, all right. So me and him are talking. We were like, what would you do there with 6 seconds? I would call Hail Mary. I would call Hail Mary here.
I mean, you had to go all the way down the field in less than 40 seconds?
Yeah. It wasn't even 40 seconds. It was 6 seconds at that point.
Oh, right.
Because it was the thing is, even on a kickoff, it was bad too because it was 2 minutes left, and he let the clock run down to like a minute before he kicked it off. 2.
Right.
And then they score, and then you're left with like a few seconds left. You have to do this thinking dunk.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. Most of the Cowboys fan base is coming after Dak's head. First of all, yes,
it wasn't Dak's fault. It wasn't Dak's fault. It's the coach's fault because
we agree. This is
that's what I said. With 6 seconds, you call him there.
What do you got to lose?
But the problem is the dang coach calls a dang gadget play to end the game.
That's 2 years in a goddamn row.
But here's the thing. It's a gadget play. It is a gadget play. With 6 seconds left, you're at the 40. The 40.
It's just, I'm thinking, because, like, first of all, the 49ers are not, look, I'll get the 49ers are a talented team. They're not going to fall for that complete bullshit, basically.
No, here's the thing. They had guys up in the front. They had guys way up in the back.
Because they thought
they were covering every part of the field. They should have kept Cooper Rush. Honestly, no. It's not really Dak's fault about that last play. Yeah, was it his fault that he threw 2 picks? But do you think Cooper Rush would be even better against his team? No.
Cooper Rush can be good.
He threw worse interceptions, threw more interceptions against us.
And I'll say this too: like, people tend to forget, like, when Dak came back from that thumb injury after missing like 5 weeks, they were actually, I think, in the top 4, top 3, top 5 in scoring since Dak came back. Now, granted,
Dak's still good. It's just that
he's just turnover.
He's got to just stop choking in the second half of the season every year. That's the problem. He's still a good quarterback. I could still trust him if I was on your team or if I was for that team, but
when it comes to the playoffs, though, like that.
But here's the thing. This came down to Coach McCarthy's decision making.
Not so McCarthy, bad. Kellen Moore too, and most Cowboys fans want Kellen Moore's head.
Yeah, it's actually In this case, it's actually Kellen Moore that calls this, because why would you call a gadget play, which it's essentially just a short slant? You call a short slant with 6 seconds left, and you're at the 40. I would have called it if you're at maybe the 5 or maybe the 1 on a 3rd down with 6 seconds left. But on the 40, you have to go way down the dang field to score. Call a Hail Mary.
Like, because if you think about it, if you give it to, because CeeDee Lamb was just having himself a field day with this 49ers secondary. He had over almost 120 yards in the air. Like, first of all, if he gets,
he was balling out. That was, and he was their top. He was basically their top guy.
Yeah,
the entire time.
Like
the entire game, he was their top guy. But the problem was the coaching cost them in the end.
Another year in a row.
Plus the 2 picks that Dak threw. But
no, those 2 picks were definitely on Dak for sure.
They were on Dak, but that's part of the problem. But the real problem was you had a chance to win. It was only 19-12. The next score wins this game.
Exactly.
We scored here, or actually, the next score and plus a field goal. Oh wait, you can't do a field goal because your kicker sucks.
Oh, look. Bias aside, though, I really do feel bad for Brett Maher. The fact that he has,
do too, man.
Like
he's probably beating him. He's probably beating himself up.
And shout out to Randy. Randy, who also loves the CFL. Brett Maher has done the exact same thing when he was in the CFL during the Grey Cup, which is basically their Super Bowl.
You just can't do it under pressure. That's the problem.
And it's just like, I'm thinking to myself, like, and that's been what's been like the being talked about. Say, if you can't rely on Brett Maher, the fact that they were talking, say you have to start going for 2 if you can't rely on your kicker. But when it comes to field goals, it's a whole lot different. He can bang them with no problems. But for some reason with extra points, he just shuts off, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen a kicker can do.
Because he panics, because with honestly, I think if it came down to a field goal and it was like a 3-point game with like 2 seconds left, he probably would have cracked under pressure there too. But it comes
But
to extra points, he just shanks them.
it's like, how do you, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you shank from like less than 20 yards out? And I really don't get it at times.
And
And
what cracks me up was that first field goal that got blocked, right? The
yeah,
announcer said, "Yeah, that would have went wide right
oh,
if
that's like,
block would even
you don't have to
happen."
do that man dirty, really.
He
That
even
was
said it. He
that.
said it flat out that it would have been blocked. It would if it wasn't blocked, it would have been wide right because the trajectory was going. It was going right.
Oh yeah,
So
and it's like, you know, but you gotta take, if you take away all that. Brett Moore's was very consistent for them in the regular season, but like I said, when push comes to shove, you know, sometimes if you crack on the, it's just like some players just don't really do when they crack under pressure. They just crack on the pressure.
for me, he's kind of like a reverse Parkey in a sense because
Yeah,
Parkey he could bang out extra points. When it comes to field goals,
yeah,
he sucked. He sucked. He could bang out extra points, but he can't kick a field goal.
field goals worth to save his life.
He couldn't kick a 3-point field goal. He couldn't. But now with Brett Maher, he can bang out a 3-point field goal, but he can't bang out an extra point. That's
It's
the problem.
it's just like at times, you know, it's like, and it's funny, not say funny, but at some point, you know, I've always said this too, and you know, with bias aside though, and you know, I talked to some Cowboys fans who I'm good personal friends with. Like, yeah, some of the I've seen some Cowboys fans are really fed up with the Jones family. I know some in particular are
Dude,
fed.
Jerry Jones. Here's the thing. Here's the problem with Jerry Jones and why these fans are fed up. And I'm for that. I feel for them for that because he still thinks he can build a roster. He can draft a roster that can win him a championship.
It's
What
like,
happened? What happened the last 20-something years since the last time you went? Nothing.
and it's funny. I actually told people this too. The last time the Eagles were, or the Cowboys were in the Super Bowl was when my mom was a senior in high school. Yeah, it's been
Last time the Eagles. I mean, the last time the Cowboys were in the Super Bowl, my mom was 2 years removed from high school.
yeah. It's just like most. If your parents have
And
been,
2 years, and 2 years before I was born. Like, what?
it's like, because, like you said, going back to what Jerry Jones is trying to build what he did in the '90s. That's not going to work in this modern era of the NFL. We've seen teams can build through the draft and in free agency. But the fact of the matter is,
You gotta utilize both things. Yeah, he tried utilizing both things by getting Amari Cooper. How'd that work out? He's gone now.
yeah, and the fact that let's think of this too, like the fact that you already gave overpaid for Zeke, I think 60 year, or I think 5 or 6 years for 90 million, which is a bad contract by any stretch of the means for a running back. You got money tied up to Dak Prescott, which is, and the fact that he only held out for that for as much as he did. You gave up Amari Cooper for pennies on the dollar. You signed a injury-prone Michael Gallup, and look at Amari Cooper had a 1,000-yard season with a shitty Cleveland Browns team. So how's, like I said, how's that even working out for Jerry Jones? Like I said, with bias aside, if you just look at this from just because like we're just general football fans, but it's just like we're looking at this, like they always said, like it's always when it comes to January, I think it's December to January, that's when they completely just shit the bed, basically. And
And the thing is, yes, you can blame Dak Prescott. Yes, you can blame the kicker. You can blame the coaching. Because those aspects are the reason why they lost.
And it's like,
but the thing is, all this stems from Jerry Jones.
and actually, it's crazy. It's like, yeah, it's just like, and our buddy from here at the Hardcore Sports, Boys for Life, he doesn't. He knows Dak is trash. The Houston Cowboys fans are seeing how bad Dak Prescott truly is for the last. They've been saying, some of them have been saying for 6 years, like the dude has been, and they're right. He's ass.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't call him trash. I would call him painfully inconsistent. He's a good quarterback when he wants to be, but he's also terrible on certain weeks. He basically has equal amount of off days than he does on days.
And it's
That's
like
the bad part.
Like that's something you don't want to have as a if he's going to be your franchise quarterback long term. You do not want inconsistencies. Because
No.
I mean, if you really think about it,
do you think Troy Aikman was inconsistent?
No, because he always had managed to get the job done. Because look at the team he had around him at the same time.
Yeah, he has a team around him. But here's the thing: the best quarterbacks, they're not inconsistent. You think Tom Brady was inconsistent in his career, except for this year?
In certain years, I've seen some inconsistencies in some years.
Certain years, yes, but he's been more consistent than inconsistent. Do you think Jalen Hurts is inconsistent? Not really.
How about Patrick Mahomes? Have you ever seen inconsistent?
Not really.
It's just like
Joe Burrow. Not really.
I mean, Joe Burrow. Oh, the kid's a different animal. But yeah, and I think somebody actually pointed this out too, that Shannon Sharp. I mean, I don't know if you can tell me anybody who knows who can rip in the Dallas Cowboys any better than Shannon Sharp. And he basically, he made us a point where
you know who I think he can rip into Dallas better than Shannon Sharp? Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, yeah, it's But I think Shannon actually made a good point. I think, or it could be Stephen A. Smith, but one of those two. One of them said that realistically, if you looked at Dak Prescott the last part of his career, he's always been a middle of the pack type of quarterback. So basically, in other words, he's basically out of the top 10. In terms,
he's more of like top 25, top 50, in a sense. Well, actually, top 25 because there's only 32 teams. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's more so top 25 because of that inconsistency. He always crumbles in the second half of the season and in the playoffs. And
looking at this contract, he signed a 4-year, $160 million contract.
He's not even worth that money. He's not.
Oh, Ty, you want to know how bad the dead cap if they decide to cut ties with him? Almost 90 mil cap, dead cap.
Oh. That's basically the majority of the cap. That's basically the majority of the cap.
He won't be an unrestricted agent until 2025. So right now, when he signed that extension,
so they're basically stuck with him until 2025.
But he does have an opt out. Potential out 2020 for 2024, 3 years. Oh, yikes! 3-year, $126 million with almost a $40 million cap hit. They
gave him a bad contract. A bad contract.
Oh,
that's a bad contract for the way he's been playing.
Some bad contracts in our day as a football fan, but nothing to that extent.
The only contract that's worse is Carson Wentz's contract from when we paid him.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that's worse.
And look. Brad Prescott's about to enter his age 30 season in 2023. He's been in the league 7 years, and yet has still not to really show for it the last 7 years. 7 years.
Have we seen growth with Dak Prescott? Not really. Not really.
Now, speaking with Ezekiel Elliott, like I mentioned, they are paying him a 6-year contract worth $90 million for a running back that has not lost all of its.
But here's the thing, Rob. They're not using him anymore as the top running back. They're using him for short games, which is smart.
But
for what he's being used for, he's worth that money.
I mean, his potential
because he was willing to change his game.
But
that's the thing.
But he's paying $15 million for a running. That's kind of, for me, that's still a little bit of overpay for a running back. But his potential for 2023 is 4 years, $50.124 million with an almost a $12 million cap hit, dead cap hit. That's the contract situation. But as Dallas as a whole, oh boy, let's look and go what their cap space is looking like in 2023. Also, too, if you want to look at this yourselves, check out spottrack.com because this is a really good source to look at where, if like say, what teams are just bad in terms of cap situation. But hopefully this thing can freaking load. That would be great. So so overall, cap hit wise and running back, and not to mention this too. I don't know if you saw that talked about this. Tony Pollard might get franchise tagged.
He deserves to get franchise tagged. The way he's played all year, he deserves it.
But
he more than deserves that money.
So far, the estimated cap space for going into 2023 under $6 million. That's how much they have left in cap space.
They spent so much money to try to win a championship, and they couldn't even do that.
Dead cap. They're paying almost $9 million in dead cap. They have $214 million wrapped up in active contracts.
Yeah. Eventually, they're gonna have to blow this up.
I mean, look, Michael Parsons, they're only paying him slightly over, per base salary, just slightly over 2.2 mil. He's going to have a payday at some point. Same with CeeDee Lamb. You guys,
they're going to have to blow this up eventually.
Yeah,
because a lot of these players are going to get their bags, and then they're going to be negative in cap space.
And it's not going to be like, look, they have 31, because Prescott has a base salary of 31 million. For a guy that's been just inconsistent. Zach Martin at 13.5. DeMarcus Lawrence, I think he's kind of worth $15 million base salary, just kind of the year he's had.
Yeah.
But Michael Gallup, though, man, like they're giving him 11, but the dude just has, since coming off that ACL, though, it's just like, for me, and I'm looking at the calculated market values. CeeDee Lamb's worth $22.6 million. Dalton Schultz is $15.1 million. Brett Maher, $3.7 million. Dante Fowler Jr. is at $7 million. And then you got Malik Hooker at almost at $8 million. So they got guys. CeeDee Lamb is pretty much the most worth guy on that roster. Well, right now, I'm looking at the five. Like, it's like I'm thinking, you have to think to yourself, it's like, I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't get it. Like sometimes you have to think of it, I'm trying to think of putting this into other comparisons. Like basically what we're saying, the Cowboys are trying to buy a championship and that shit's not working.
No.
And you're seeing these other teams like the Eagles know how to work with stuff. And you see teams like just kind of use their own like talent and stuff like that and try to, knowing that, and let's be real, they need to cut. I think Tyron Smith needs to hang it up because I think he's already up there in age. And for the love of God, Jason Pierce, hang the dang spikes up. You've done enough already. But I will say,
I don't even think he barely even started this year. Like at all.
He has started a couple playoff games and has not really worked out. I would say, because I've always said this too, even on record, that even though when I saw his time with the Bears, like the dude could not last 5 minutes on a football field without getting hurt. The dude is
that was why we cut him, because every single game it was like week 1 he gets hurt. Every single season.
I think in 2017 he's been hurt he had been out all season with a turf toe, and we still won a Super Bowl without him. That should tell you, like, he was pretty much our weakest link, and we cut, and thank God we cut him. But and there's just certain quarterbacks. Look, and you got Joe Burrow. Look, it's just like what we're saying is like the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're really making a mistake of trying to spend way too much money instead of look. If you just can do that in the free agency, that's a whole different situation. We have seen teams actually be very successful if you spend in free agency, but the fact that you overpay for positions that you had not really seen consistency from. Like I said, Zach, you're about to franchise tag Tony Pollard. Dalton Schultz, who knows with him, because he's going to be I think he might be a free agent at some point. So you're going to be losing some core players. if you don't find a way to fix your cap situation. Because if not, it's going to look ugly.
Here's the thing: you basically paid for your core. That's not how you build a championship-winning team. Because look at us. We drafted our core. Brennan Graham, Josh Sweat, Lane Johnson. All those guys we drafted. You paid for half of your players. The majority of your players. You pay for your core. You don't pay for your core. You draft your core, and then you get some free agent pieces sparingly. Save the money.
Or look at the San Francisco 49ers. Another team knows how to draft their core.
Yep.
Look, George Kittle, probably the best tight end. I know they're probably someone's going to be the argument with Kelsey, but I think George Kittle is the number one tight end. You can't argue that. No. You also had Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. You traded for Christian McCaffrey. That was a huge game changer if they didn't trade for Christian McCaffrey for that running game. Elijah Mitchell, if he stayed healthy enough, I think he's a really good back number 2. But, look at that defense and stuff like that. Where did they all come from the draft? And they got some free agency pieces here and there. But they had the right coaching staff to make it work and develop them to be what they are now. Now, granted, the starting quarterback position has always been a thorn in their side for quite some time. Even though, Jimmy G was good for, I won't say Jimmy G's inconsistent, but he just had these moments where he's just injury prone. And I really hate to say it. I really like Jimmy G, but it's just a year. Now you're going to have to have an option to either let Trey Lance have one more shot at this or move on to Brock Purdy for long term, because I think I think that could be I won't say a bit of a situation, but that's something I think 49ers fans have to think about, because you trade all this draft capital to move to number 3 to get Trey Lance, and the fact that, now granted, I'm going to get, like I said, I'm going to give Trey Lance a bit of a benefit of the doubt, because I know he's kind of a setback from injuries. But I've always said this, like, if he can show, and at times when he's healthy, we've seen flashes of brilliance from Trey Lance. And, but like I said, if he can't develop with the weapons he has around him, I would say that's just a trap post right there. And Brock Purdy, now he's not perfect either, but he has done exceptionally well to develop, in these kind of situations. Now, granted, he is, Mr. Relevant, not irrelevant. So let's clear that up really quick. But it's just like you have these younger quarterbacks having producing better results than you have, like Dak Prescott, who's been around in the league for 7 years, but been very inconsistent. It's just, there are times when he's like, we seen games like when he's on, like he plays like a top 5, top 10 quarterback easy, but that's just on his good days. Like we said, it's just a hard thing to comprehend and just see that. And like I said, being an Eagles fan, like we're not taking any shots at this, but we're just seeing it from the eye test. And good Lord, I've seen, and I had some like Arku better than anybody, knows how to scream his let's just be real, scream his head off about the Dallas Cowboys and stuff like that. But all I'm saying is just like, if I'm the Cowboys, at some point you need somebody to restructure your contract, those cap situations, and try to, I won't say blow it up, but just try to find pieces to replace something, because it's just not going to be a good looking for the Cowboys if they decided to run it back with the score. And if they somehow run it back with McCarthy and still having Kellen Mercer OC, I don't know what to say. I'm leaving it at that.
All right,
and I do apologize for that informational rant. So I do apologize for that.
It's all good, brother. But with that said, this has been Pigskin Recap with your boy Tyler. Yep. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. Follow my boy here. Follow our channel.
Absolutely.
Like, subscribe if you like what you see there. And we will be covering our last 2 episodes. Shocking, I know.
Yeah.
Last 2 episodes of the season. Next week, Monday at 6. So,
but with that being said,
find us there. And then the following week, Super Bowl Sunday, we'll have the recap show next week after that. Hopefully my team is there. But
We'll see.
We'll
But
see.
outside of that, we have a lot of other stuff planned outside of that. Thursday, we're going to have It's Running Podcast episode 36. Holy crap. And then we'll be live again later in about 44 minutes for Monday Night Raw 30th anniversary. So if you have any professional wrestling fans out there watching, come out by.
I might be on there. I might not. I don't know.
But I'm going to be holding it out with Jeff and Earl. So, outside of that, I will be live again Sunday the 29th for the NFC title game between the 49ers and the Birds. And and then after that, we got baseball season coming around. So we're going to see a lot more baseball streams and lots more covering. But that being said, though, like I said, I appreciate Tyler having me on again because
you're welcome, brother.
You're
one of my quality guests, and today showed it with that long rant of yours to end the episode. And you're welcome to be back on. You're already the producer of this, so
absolutely.
You and Mitch are the producers of this show, so I thank you guys for producing this show for me and making it the best. And I thank Derpy Entertainment, Hefe KC, Hardcore Sports 1, everybody.
Arku
for everybody, man. Thank you for coming in. You appreciate it. I appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Awesome power of nature, hot excitement.